So thank you for joining us. We're here today with Donna Williams, who is one of the board members of Hollywood Heritage. And also, I'll let her introduce herself as well in terms of what she does. She brings all sorts of different skills, but we're today exploring, and for the next few videos, on her work that she's been doing on this incredible miniature of Hollywood that's part of one of the great resources that Hollywood Heritage has. So thank you for hanging out with us, Donna.
All right, thank you, Carlisle. Yes, I am Donna Williams. I'm an art conservator in private practice. I focus on the conservation of sculpture and architectural materials. I'm a longtime resident of Hollywood. My studio is in Hollywood, and I really have the pleasure of working on this artifact, which is accessioned into the museum collection of Hollywood Heritage. So what we're looking at are 3 panels that are mounted on rolling tables so that we can work on them. You're seeing the project in mostly a during treatment phase. However, what you're not seeing is all of the documentation, before treatment documentation, that goes into a work like this before you even put hands onto it.
Yeah, I was sort of curious. So like, say this is day 1 and you're walking into this space and seeing the miniature. What are the things that you immediately, like your brain starts thinking, okay, here are the first tasks that we need to be doing with a piece like this?
So the first thing you're going to do
and pardon the Hollywood Boulevard noises that go on in the background.
So the first thing that you're going to do is before treatment documentation. And that phase basically has a photographic component to it. In other words, you're going to take photographs that catch all the details, both in overall general, but then all of the details of the artwork. In our case, while it's nice to have a big overview of everything pushed together the way it would have been viewed, we broke that documentation down into each panel, and then into much smaller components by dividing up each panel into quadrants so that we could really capture, say, this block. You know, this is a natural break here. So you want really good photographic documentation of this as well.
Almost like street, because these do have streets.
Yes.
So kind of each street block is almost a handy quadrant.
It's a handy way to kind of break it up. So we have every quadrant of these 3 panels photographically documented. And that's really the first thing you want to do. The documentation component of this leads to creating an inventory system, or a way of identifying each quadrant. And the reason that that's important is that the next phase of starting to work on the piece is to go through each quadrant and remove anything that's loose, because we don't want to have loose pieces, whether it's a tree or a piece of a building. We don't want them floating around in here while we're trying to work on the piece. So with our photographic documentation and then subsequently our inventory system, we can remove a piece, put it in a plastic bag, give it an ID number, and put it in storage to be cleaned, repaired, and put back into its exact location. And that's a very important component of this, that things go back to exactly the place they came from.
So like, for example, just say from where I'm standing, there's a lot of signage and these small trees and shrubs that may potentially be loose, or you want to make sure that if you don't vacuum something.
I don't vacuum it up.
Since especially some of this is probably hard to fix or repair once it's damaged.
Once it's damaged. Or you might just really, if it's small enough, damage it to obliteration. So yes. So this panel over here is probably the most representative in terms of the condition that we received the object. It has a really heavy layer of dust and debris. We have gone through and partially removed some loose fragments. I don't think that that's been completely completed at this point, but for the most part, what we've been finding are signs, building signs that have kind of been knocked off or fallen off, and then landscaping material, which is really interesting because this landscaping material is made from natural twigs and branches. They're not plastic, they weren't pre-made and then just stuck into place. So they're very delicate. So we've been taking off a lot of those bits and bagging them up for treatment later. The first real thing that the first actual hands-on treatment is vacuuming, because we want to pick up all of the loose dust, grime, anything that's loose before we actually go to a cleaning phase. And the vacuuming phase is a really interesting phase because it's while some may think of it as tedious, it allows you the time, because it's not particularly fast, it allows you the time to really start to look at all the components in detail. At least that's how I look at a vacuuming phase. We're using a HEPA vacuum, which the exhaust is basically cleaner than the air that came in. So we're kind of making sure that we're not just pushing all the dust and grime back into the space. We're using a very fine painter's brush to lightly agitate surfaces so that you can kind of lift the dust and have your nozzle right there and pick it up. But that phase of having a really close look is when you start to really become really visually tuned to what you're looking at. And then you'll start to see sort of the depth of how things were made, how they're painted, what things look like they're out of place. Because an artifact, while this is, I think, 1946, it's not that old, it's been around and it's had other people's hands on it. And it's had heavy hands to the extent that it's not been treated as a conservation and preservation project. It's been treated as a sprucing up project. So.
Great. So I think this is a good intro for our first video here.
Okay.
And then we'll step in and look at, I think, documentation.
Yes.
In our next video. So check back in, because
okay.
we're not just doing a quick overview. Donna is very kind to kind of leap into each part with us. So
all right.
We'll start there. Thank you so much. So as we go, we're going to see this slowly change, and you're going to realize that there are things in this model that are hidden, and
yes.
little mysteries that are going to be discovered.
That's right. That's right.
This is good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.